Well, hey, good day to you. This is Todd. I am a regular dude walking in the Word. We are beginning a new book today. What I do in the regular dude walking in the Word is I usually go through an Old Testament book and then flip over to a New Testament book. And then to even mix it up even more, on Sundays, I just go through the book of Psalms. Okay. And I forget what psalm I'm on right now on Sundays. But anyway, we do that on Sunday. And so we just finished the book of Numbers. And now I'm going to be starting today the book of First Thessalonians. Okay. And as I started Thessalonians, I wanted to kind of give a little bit of an introduction. And the introduction actually comes from the book of Acts. Acts is the Acts of the Apostles that tells the start of the Church of Jesus. After Jesus was crucified and resurrected, and then that book goes on. It's written by Luke to tell of the spread of the gospel throughout the world from that point. And so Acts chapter 17 actually talks about Thessalonica, and Thessalonica is the book that the Thessalonians was written to. All right. So Paul wrote the book of Thessalonians, and he wrote it to the people of Thessalonica. And he started the church there, and he was traveling through, and he was there about 3 weeks. Okay. So in this episode, I'm actually going to be talking about that. So we're going to kind of do 2 episodes just on the introduction and looking just at Acts 17 before we even get into First Thessalonians. This will help us understand the whole kind of the whole scope of Thessalonians. It's good to have all this background information. We do foster care, and if we have a child come into our home, it's so helpful to have a background information on them, like what happened to their parents, were they exposed to drugs, and all kinds of questions. And the more information you have, the better it helps your whole situation, the more you understand that child. And so the more the background and everything that we have on Thessalonians, you're going to see it's a complex book. It's not easy. We're not just going to fly through it in a couple of sessions. But as we look at the book of Thessalonians, it's helpful to have that background information as to why the church in Thessalonica, how it started, why it existed, and so forth. So let's read here today. This is taken from Acts chapter 17, and this is verses 1 through 15. All right. So it says this: Paul and Silas then traveled through the towns of Apollos and Apollonia, and then they came to Thessalonica, where there was a Jewish synagogue. As was Paul's custom, he went to the synagogue service for 3 Sabbaths in a row. He used the scriptures to reason with the people. Okay, so he did this for 3 Sabbaths in a row. All right, so he was the point of the whole one point today here is he got this church started, and he was only here for 3 weeks. All right, so you could argue that he was there for, it says 3 Sabbaths in a row, so you can't argue that it was like 1 Sabbath per month or anything like that. No, it's 3 Sabbaths in a row. Now you could stretch it out if you wanted to say almost 5 weeks, if he was like he arrived on the day after the Sabbath, and then was there almost the 6 days before the Sabbath, and then stayed through those 3 Sabbaths, and then after, he didn't leave right the day after the Sabbath. He left 6 days later, right before the other Sabbath. But realistically, it's 3 weeks he was there. Okay, that's why you would say that he was there for 3 weeks. And so he was there for 3 weeks, and he explained the prophecies and proved that the Messiah must suffer and rise from the dead. He said, "This Jesus I'm telling you about is the Messiah." Some of the Jews who listened were persuaded and joined Paul and Silas, along with many God-fearing Greek men and quite a few prominent women. But some of the Jews were jealous, so they gathered some troublemakers from the marketplace to form a mob and start a riot. They attacked the house of Jason, searching for Paul and Silas so they could drag them from the crowd. But not finding them there, they dragged out Jason and some of the other believers instead and took them before the city council. "Paul and Silas have caused trouble all over the world," they shouted, "and now they are here disturbing our city too. And Jason has welcomed them into his home. They are all guilty of treason against Caesar, for they profess allegiance to one another, or to another king named Jesus." The people of the city, as well as the city council, were thrown into turmoil by these reports. So the officials forced Jason and the other believers to post a bond, and they released them. That very night, the believers sent Paul and Silas to Berea. Okay, so after that whole outburst, the believers sent Paul and Silas away. It's safer to go away for a while, is what they were saying. When they arrived there, they went to the Jewish synagogue, and the people of Berea were more open-minded than those in Thessalonica, and they listened eagerly to Paul's message. They searched the scriptures day after day to see if Paul and Silas were teaching the truth. As a result, many Jews believed, as did many of the prominent Greek women and men. But when the Jews in Thessalonica learned that Paul was preaching the word of God in Berea, they went there and stirred up trouble. The believers acted at once, sending Paul to the coast, while Silas and Timothy remained behind. Those escorting Paul went with him all the way to Athens. Then they returned to Berea, and with instructions for Silas and Timothy to hurry and join him. Okay, so what I wanted you to see from this whole passage is, and it's entitled today, "Sharing the Gospel in Earnest." Paul and Silas arrived in Thessalonica, and they didn't goof around. They didn't waste time and go, "Oh yeah, we'd like to take a vacation for a little while. Then we'll start with starting a church." No, they jumped right in, and for 3 weeks that they were there, the 3 Sabbaths they were there, they hit it hard. And you would have to hit it hard because you were starting a church, so you couldn't go, "Oh yeah, we're going to have one sermon every week, and then you guys should be fine." No, not possible. Okay. They would have to hit it hard and do some intense teaching. It could have been like all day long that they were teaching for these 3 weeks. But the point is, they hit it hard, and they came with intensity and urgency to share the gospel and get this church started. Okay? And they didn't know how long they were going to be there. They didn't come there and go, "Hey, you know what? I think we're going to be here for about 3 weeks." No, it ended really quick when they were there, and this mob broke out, and this whole riot thing started, and the believers said, "It's time for you to go because it's not safe for you here anymore." And so then they had to leave. And so, their time was cut short, but the church started from that. And so, and you're going to see then later, Paul is writing back to that church. That's what we're going to read in Thessalonians. He's writing to that church and giving further instructions because other people have come in and kind of picked up where Paul left off and are doing some false teaching with that. But, that's the whole point here today is Paul and Silas were sharing the gospel with earnest. And in the same way, we need to be doing that too. I don't know how long I'm going to live. Tomorrow I'm going on a bike ride. I could die on that bike ride tomorrow and I'd be dead. Okay. And I missed sharing the gospel with other people. So I need to have a mindset that I need to be urgent about sharing the gospel because I don't know how long they're going to live. I don't know when the rapture is going to happen. I don't know how long they're going to live. I don't know how long I'm going to live. But I need to share the gospel, and I need to be earnest about it. All right? Hey, thanks for watching. I am a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue our journey starting the book of Thessalonians. Lord's blessing. I'll see you tomorrow.